The Saudi royal family spent more on a single painting than the entire GDP of some countries. Yeah, you heard that right. One painting, billions of dollars. We're counting down the 12 insane ways Saudi royals blow their cash. And trust me, by the time we hit number 1, you'll be questioning everything you thought you knew about money. 12. Royal perfumes versus drugstore fragrances.
Sir.
You think dropping $50 on a bottle of cologne is a splurge? That's cute. Saudi royals are out here spending millions on custom fragrances that'll make your head spin. We're talking perfumes so fancy they make designer scents look like dollar store knockoffs. Let's break it down. Your average Joe might spend a couple $100 a year on fragrances, maybe a nice gift set for the holidays or a new scent for summer. But Saudi princes? They're not playing around. A single royal perfume collection can cost more than most people's houses. We're talking tens of millions of dollars just to smell good. One Saudi prince reportedly spent $10 million on a single bottle of perfume. That's not a typo. $10 million. You could buy a small island for that kind of cash, but nah, this dude wanted to smell nice. And it's not just the liquid gold inside that's expensive. These bottles are works of art themselves, often covered in precious gems and made from the fanciest materials money can buy. But what makes these scents so special? It's all about the ingredients, baby. We're talking rare stuff you've probably never heard of. Oud, for example, is a type of wood that's literally worth more than gold by weight. Then there's ambergris, which comes from whale intestines and can cost thousands per ounce. Yeah, you read that right. Whale guts in your perfume. These aren't your grandma's potpourri sachets. Royal perfumers spend years creating custom blends for their clients. They mix rare flowers, exotic spices, and those crazy expensive ingredients to make something totally unique. And when you're a Saudi royal, you don't want to smell like anyone else. The bottles themselves are next level. We're talking solid gold, encrusted with diamonds, rubies, and emeralds. Some even have built-in MP3 players or holographic displays, because apparently smelling like $1 million isn't enough. Your perfume bottle needs to entertain you too. So next time you feel guilty about splurging on that fancy cologne at the mall, just remember, somewhere out there a Saudi prince is spraying on a scent that costs more than you'll make in a lifetime. But hey, perfumes are just the appetizer in this feast of royal extravagance. Buckle up, because we're just getting started on this wild ride through Saudi royal spending. 11. Royal yachts versus weekend fishing trips. If you thought perfume was where the Saudi princes flexed their wealth, wait till you see what they're doing on the water. Imagine a vessel so massive and luxurious it makes cruise ships look like rubber duckies. We're about to dive into the world of royal yachts, where the term floating city isn't just a metaphor, it's a reality. While you're out here saving up for a weekend fishing trip on a rented boat, Saudi royals are cruising the seas in what can only be described as floating palaces. We're not talking about your average yacht here. These are mega yachts, super yachts, or whatever you want to call them. They're basically entire cities on water. Let's talk numbers for a sec. A typical royal super yacht can cost anywhere from $300 million to over $1 billion. Yeah, you heard that right. Billion with a B. That's enough to buy a small country or fund a city's education system for years. But for these guys, it's just another toy. Now let's compare features. Your average fishing boat might have a cooler for beer and some fishing rods. Maybe a small cabin if you're fancy. But a royal yacht? We're talking helipads, multiple swimming pools, movie theaters, and even underwater viewing rooms. Some of these yachts have their own submarines or speedboats attached. It's like they took a luxury hotel, slapped some engines on it, and called it a day. The craziest part? These yachts need a small army just to keep them running. We're talking crews of 50 to 100 people, including captains, engineers, chefs, cleaners, and even personal trainers and massage therapists. Your fishing buddies might help you bait a hook, but on a royal yacht, there's probably someone hired just to peel your grapes. And don't even get me started on the maintenance costs. The annual upkeep for one of these floating palaces can easily hit $20 to $50 million. That's more than most people will earn in their entire lives just to keep the boat running for a year. You could buy multiple houses with that kind of cash. But for Saudi royals, it's just the cost of doing business on the high seas. The gap between royal maritime experiences and what the rest of us call boating is wider than the ocean itself. While we're out here hoping our little motorboat doesn't break down, they're deciding which of their multiple onboard restaurants to eat at or which exotic port to visit next. But hey, even these floating fortresses can't compare to what the Saudi royals are doing on land. Because when it comes to living large, they're just getting started. 10. Royal weddings versus backyard ceremonies. From sea to land, the Saudi royal spending spree continues. But forget about yachts for a minute. We're about to crash a wedding that makes Kim Kardashian's nuptials look like a budget affair. How much does it cost to make Hollywood look cheap? You're about to find out. While your cousin's backyard wedding was cute with its DIY centerpieces and rented chairs, Saudi royal weddings are on a whole different level. We're talking about celebrations that cost more than some countries' entire economies. In 2018, one Saudi prince dropped a cool $100 million on his wedding. That's enough to fund thousands of average weddings and still have cash left over for a small island. But what exactly does a $100 million wedding look like? For starters, forget about renting a ballroom. These royals often build entire palaces just for the occasion. We're talking massive structures with gold-plated everything, crystal chandeliers the size of cars, and enough flowers to fill a botanical garden. And that's just the venue. The guest list? It's not uncommon for a Saudi royal wedding to have 20,000 attendees. That's like inviting an entire small town to your big day. And these guests ain't leaving with just a slice of cake and a thank you note. Nope, Saudi royals give out party favors that'll make your jaw drop. We're talking luxury watches, designer bags, and even cars. Yeah, you heard that right. Cars as wedding favors. Your wedding bubble wand suddenly feeling a little lame. But the real kicker? The entertainment. While you're debating between a DJ or a live band, Saudi royals are flying in entire orchestras and world-famous pop stars. We're talking celebs like Mariah Carey, Jennifer Lopez, and Beyoncé performing private concerts. And these stars ain't coming cheap. Reports say some performers pocket up to $5 million for a single night's work at these weddings. That's more than most people will earn in a lifetime just for a few hours of singing. When all's said and done, a single Saudi royal wedding could easily fund thousands of average ceremonies. It's a level of extravagance that's hard to even imagine. But here's the thing. For the Saudi royals, this is just another Tuesday. Because when you've got billions to burn, why stop at just one day of celebration? And trust me, the spending doesn't stop after the honeymoon. In fact, we're just getting started on this wild ride through Saudi royal excess. Up next, we're going to look at something that'll really get your engine revving. 9. Royal car collections versus family sedans. Remember when you felt like a baller for upgrading to leather seats? Well, the Saudi princes are laughing in gold-plated supercars. These guys don't just own cars, they've got entire collections that'd make Jay Leno jealous. We're talking about garages bigger than your house, filled with hundreds of the rarest and most expensive rides on the planet. A typical Saudi royal might have anywhere from 200 to 500 cars. And we ain't talking about your average Toyotas and Hondas here. We're talking Bugattis, Koenigsegg's, and one-of-a-kind custom jobs that cost more than small countries. Let's break it down. The total value of one of these royal car collections, easily over $1 billion. Yeah, that's billion with a B. While you're saving up for years to buy a used Honda, these guys are dropping $3 million on a single Bugatti Chiron like it's nothing. But it's not just about the cars themselves. Nah, that'd be too basic for a Saudi prince. These guys take their rides to the next level with insane custom mods. We're talking gold-plated bodies, diamond-encrusted steering wheels, and interiors made from the leather of unborn calves. Yeah, you heard that right. Unborn calf leather. Because regular leather just ain't fancy enough, I guess. One Saudi prince famously owns a diamond-encrusted Mercedes-Benz SLR McLaren. The price tag? A cool $4.8 million. That's more than most people will make in their entire lives, spent on a car that probably never even leaves the garage. And don't even get me started on the maintenance costs. While you're stressing over a $50 oil change, these guys are dropping millions every year just to keep their collections in tip-top shape. Custom parts, specialized mechanics, climate-controlled garages. It all adds up. The yearly upkeep on one of these collections could easily buy a fleet of normal cars. Here's the kicker. One single car in a Saudi royals collection often costs more than what most people will spend on vehicles in their entire lifetime. Think about that. While you're proud of paying off your family sedan after 5 years, these guys are buying cars that cost more than your house, your car, and your kids' college funds combined. But hey, cars are just the beginning, because when you're a Saudi royal, why limit yourself to the road? Up next, we're going to see how these guys take their luxury to the skies. 8. Private jets versus economy flights. While you're cramped in economy praying for an extra bag of peanuts, Saudi royals are living it up in flying palaces. These guys don't just fly first class, they own the whole dang plane. And we're not talking about your average private jet. Nah, we're talking about customized Boeing 747s that cost more than some countries' entire air forces. Let's break it down. A typical Saudi royal jet can cost upwards of $500 million. That's not a typo. $500 million just to get from A to B. But these ain't your regular planes. These are basically luxury hotels with wings. We're talking full-size bedrooms, marble bathrooms, and living rooms bigger than most apartments. Some of these jets even have onboard theaters with cinema-quality sound systems. Because apparently watching movies on a regular screen is too peasant-like when you're 40,000 feet in the air. But it gets crazier. These planes often have gold-plated everything: sinks, toilet seats, even seatbelt buckles. One Saudi prince's plane reportedly has a solid gold throne in the middle of the cabin, in case he forgets his royalty while flying over peasant land. And the staff? While you're lucky to get a bag of pretzels tossed your way in economy, these jets come with a full crew of butlers, chefs, and personal assistants. Some even have onboard doctors and masseurs, because nothing says luxury like a deep tissue massage while cruising at Mach 0.85. The security on these flights is next level too. We're talking ex-military personnel, bulletproof windows, and defense systems that could probably take down a small country. All to make sure His Royal Highness can nap in peace without worrying about, sky pirates or something. Here's the kicker. The cost of a single flight on one of these bad boys could pay for years of economy travel for an average family. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars just for fuel. That's more than most people spend on travel in their entire lives, blown on a single trip. The gap between how regular folks fly and how Saudi royals do it is wider than the Grand Canyon. While we're fighting over armrests and praying our carry-on fits in the overhead bin, these guys are deciding which of their 5-star suites to nap in. It's a whole different world up there. But even these flying mansions can't compare to what the Saudi royals are packing on the ground. Because when it comes to homes, these guys take luxury to a whole new level. 7. Royal palaces versus suburban homes. Forget those cute little 3-bedroom houses in the suburbs. Saudi royals are living in palaces so massive they make Buckingham look like a garden shed. We're talking about homes that are basically small cities with price tags that'll make your head spin. Let's break it down. Your average McMansion might cost a couple $1,000,000, but a Saudi royal palace, we're talking billions. Yeah, you heard that right. Billions with a B. Some of these places are worth more than the entire GDP of small countries. It's not just a house, it's a statement. So what do you get for that kind of cash? Well, for starters, these palaces are huge. We're not talking about a couple dozen rooms. Nah, we're talking hundreds. Some of these places have over 1,500 rooms. That's not a typo. You could get lost for days in these joints. And the features? Oh boy. Gold-plated domes are just the beginning. We're talking about private mosques that can hold thousands of worshippers, indoor pools that would make Olympic swimmers jealous, ballrooms bigger than your entire neighborhood. Some of these palaces even have their own hospitals and shopping malls. Yeah, malls, inside the house. But here's the real kicker, the staff. You think your weekly cleaning service is fancy? These palaces need literal armies to keep them running. We're talking hundreds, sometimes thousands of employees. Butlers, chefs, gardeners, security guards. It's like a small town just to keep the place going. And the cost of maintaining these monster mansions, it's insane. While you're stressing about your mortgage payment, these guys are dropping millions every year just on upkeep. The electric bill alone could probably power a small city. Here's a mind-blowing fact for you. The cost of building and maintaining one of these royal palaces could easily house entire neighborhoods of regular folks. We're talking thousands of families. But for Saudi royals, it's just another day in paradise. But get this, these palaces ain't just for living. Nah, that'd be too boring. These massive cribs are also party central for the rich and famous. And let me tell you, when Saudi royals throw a bash, it makes your wildest house party look like a kindergarten picnic. 6. Royal parties versus weekend barbecues. You've probably heard the phrase party like a rock star, but have you ever wondered what it means to party like a Saudi royal? Picture this. Circus performers flown in from around the world, gourmet dishes sprinkled with gold, and party favors worth more than your car. And that's just the beginning of a night that could fund your hometown's events for the next decade. While you're flipping burgers in the backyard, Saudi royals are throwing bashes that make Jay Gatsby look like a cheapskate. We're talking about parties that cost more than most people will make in their entire lives. A typical Saudi royal celebration can easily hit the tens of millions of dollars. That's right, millions, for one night. So what does that kind of cash get you? For starters, forget about hiring a local band. These guys fly in top-tier pop stars for private concerts. We're talking A-list celebs like Mariah Carey or Jennifer Lopez who can pocket up to $3 million for a single performance. And that's just the musical entertainment. But the shows don't stop there. Saudi royals have been known to bring in entire circus troupes complete with acrobats, fire breathers, and exotic animals. Imagine having a full-on Cirque du Soleil performance in your living room. That's just another Tuesday for these guys. Now let's talk about the food. Forget about hot dogs and potato salad. At a Saudi royal party, you're more likely to find caviar served on solid gold spoons and sushi rolled with edible gold leaf. They've got teams of world-class chefs whipping up dishes with ingredients so rare and expensive you've probably never even heard of them. And the party favors? Oh boy. While you're handing out plastic trinkets, Saudi royals are giving away luxury watches, designer bags, and even cars. Yeah, you heard that right. Cars as party favors. One Saudi prince reportedly gave away 20 Bentleys at his wedding. That's millions of dollars just in thank you gifts. The scale of these parties is mind-boggling. We're talking guest lists in the thousands with people flown in from all over the world. They'll rent out entire luxury hotels or build massive temporary structures just for one night of partying. Here's the crazy part. The cost of one of these royal shindigs could fund a small town's events for years. We're talking 4th of July fireworks, Christmas parades, summer festivals, all of it for multiple years from just one night of Saudi royal partying. But as insane as these parties are, they're just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Saudi royal spending. Because the real luxury, it's in the stuff they use every day. We're about to dive into wardrobes that cost more than most people's houses. 5. Royal wardrobes versus department store shopping. Ever wondered what a $1 million outfit looks like? For Saudi royals, that's just Tuesday's casual wear. These guys don't shop at department stores. They've got personal designers creating garments from materials so rare you've probably never even heard of them. And we're about to take a peek inside their insane closets. Let's start with the basics. While you're feeling fancy in your $200 jeans, Saudi princes are rocking suits that cost more than houses. We're talking custom-made everything from shirts to shoes. And the materials? They ain't using regular cotton and leather. Now we're talking vicuna wool, which comes from a rare animal in the Andes and costs up to $4,000 per yard. Or how about some alligator skin shoes? That'll set you back about $50,000 a pair. But the real flex? It's in the accessories. One Saudi prince reportedly owns a watch collection worth over $15 million. Yeah, you read that right. 15 million bucks just to tell time. We're talking about timepieces with diamonds so rare they make the Hope diamond look like a chip of glass. And it ain't just watches. These guys wear jewelry that could fund a small country. Diamond-encrusted cufflinks, solid gold tie clips, and rings with gems so big they need their own zip code. One Saudi royal was spotted wearing a casual day outfit with jewelry worth over $3 million. That's more than most people's lifetime earnings just hanging around his neck and wrists. Now let's put this in perspective. The average person might spend a couple grand on clothes each year. A Saudi prince? They can drop that on a single pair of socks. No joke. There are silk socks infused with gold threads that cost thousands of dollars, and these guys probably buy them by the dozen. Here's the kicker. A single accessory in a Saudi royal's wardrobe often costs more than what most people spend on clothes in their entire life. That watch on his wrist, it could pay off your mortgage. That ring, it's worth more than your car. And that's just what they wear to breakfast. But as crazy as their fashion spending is, it's pocket change compared to what they drop on art. Because when Saudi royals decide to decorate, they don't hit up IKEA. They buy entire museum collections. 4. Royal art collections versus wall posters. Forget IKEA. When Saudi royals want to spruce up their palace walls, they're not looking at mass-produced prints. They're after the kind of art that makes museum curators lose sleep. But here's the real kicker. The value of just one painting in a royal collection could change an entire city's future. How? Let's break it down. While you're feeling fancy with that vintage concert poster, Saudi princes are dropping hundreds of millions on a single canvas. We're talking about paintings so valuable, they make the Mona Lisa look like a bargain bin find. In 2017, a Saudi prince reportedly bought Leonardo da Vinci's Salvator Mundi for a whopping $450 million. That's not a typo, almost $500 million for one painting. But it ain't just about the old masters. These guys are scooping up modern art like it's going out of style. Picasso's, Warhol's, Basquiat's. If it's famous and expensive, chances are a Saudi royal owns it. And they're not just buying one or two pieces. We're talking about collections that rival entire museums. To house all this priceless art, Saudi royals ain't messing around with some basic frames and wall hooks. Nah, they're building entire custom galleries and private museums. Imagine having a wing of the Louvre in your backyard. That's just another Tuesday for these guys. They've got climate-controlled rooms, state-of-the-art security systems, and teams of experts just to keep their art in tip-top shape. Now let's talk insurance. While you're stressing over your monthly home insurance bill, Saudi royals are paying premiums that could bankrupt small countries. The insurance on just one of these mega collections could easily cost millions per year. That's more than most people will spend on insurance in their entire lives just to protect some fancy paintings. Here's the craziest part. The money spent on a single royal artwork could fund a city's art programs for decades. We're talking about school field trips, community centers, public murals, all of it for years and years from the cost of just one painting hanging in a Saudi palace. But as mind-blowing as their art spending is, it's just one small piece of their investment portfolio. Because when you've got billions to throw around, why stop at paintings? These guys are buying up whole companies like they're on sale at Walmart. 3. Royal investments versus savings accounts. Ever wonder what it's like to have so much money that buying a Fortune 500 company feels like picking up milk at the store? For Saudi royals, that's just Tuesday. But here's the kicker. Their shopping sprees aren't just about flexing. These investments are reshaping the global economy in ways you wouldn't believe. While you're patting yourself on the back for that 2% interest rate in your savings account, Saudi princes are playing a whole different game. We're talking about investments so massive, they could change the fate of entire industries overnight. These guys aren't just buying stocks, they're scooping up entire companies like they're on clearance. Let's break it down. The Saudi royal family's main investment fund, the Public Investment Fund, PIF, is worth over $620 billion. That's more than the GDP of many countries. And they're not afraid to throw that weight around. They've got major stakes in tech giants like Uber, Tesla, and Nintendo. We're talking billions poured into these companies, giving them serious influence over the future of technology. But it ain't just tech. Saudi royals are big players in the luxury game too. They've got major holdings in high-end brands like Four Seasons hotels and resorts. And when they decide to invest, they go all in. In 2022, the Saudi Wealth Fund dropped $1.5 billion to buy a chunk of Aston Martin. Yeah, that Aston Martin, James Bond's favorite ride. And don't even get me started on real estate. These guys aren't just buying penthouses, they're snatching up entire city blocks in the world's most expensive capitals. London, New York, Paris, you name it, they own a piece of it. One Saudi prince reportedly owns a $300 million mansion in France that's bigger than Versailles. That's not an investment, that's a small country. Here's the crazy part. While you're excited about that 2% return on your savings account, Saudi royal investments are raking in billions. The PIF reported a profit of $25 billion in 2022 alone. That's more than most people will see in 100 lifetimes, all from a single year of investments. But even these massive money moves look like child's play compared to their real passion projects. Because when you've got more cash than you know what to do with, why stop at buying companies? These guys are out here building entire cities from scratch. 2. Royal pet projects versus home renovations. You saved up to remodel your kitchen, that's cute. Saudi royals are out here building entire cities from scratch. We're not talking about a new countertop or some fancy appliances. These guys are creating futuristic metropolises that make sci-fi movies look tame. Let's talk about NEOM, the crown jewel of Saudi pet projects. This ain't your average urban development. We're talking about a $500 billion plan to build a city the size of Belgium in the middle of the desert. Yeah, you heard that right. $500 billion. That's more than the GDP of most countries. But what does a $500 billion city look like? For starters, they're planning on flying taxis zooming between skyscrapers. Because apparently regular taxis are too boring. They've even talked about an artificial moon to light up the night sky. And get this, there are plans for a Jurassic Park-style island with robot dinosaurs. Because when you've got unlimited cash, why not build your own prehistoric theme park? But NEOM ain't the only crazy project these guys are cooking up. Ever wanted to hit the slopes in 120-degree heat? Saudi royals got you covered. They built Ski Dubai, a massive indoor ski resort smack in the middle of the desert. It's got real snow, chairlifts, and even penguins. Yeah, penguins in the desert. That's just how Saudi royals roll. Now let's put this in perspective. The budget for NEOM alone is more than what most countries spend on infrastructure in decades. While your city's struggling to fix potholes, these guys are casually dropping hundreds of billions on robot dinosaurs and artificial moons. Here's the kicker. The money spent on just one of these royal pet projects could fund an entire country's development for years. We're talking schools, hospitals, roads, all of it. But for Saudi royals, it's just another Tuesday. But even these massive projects look like small potatoes compared to what's next on our list. Because when you've got more money than you know what to do with, why stop at building cities? These guys are buying up entire sports empires like they're on sale at Walmart. 1. Royal sports teams versus fantasy leagues. While you're geeking out over your fantasy football team, Saudi royals are busy buying up real-life sports empires. These guys ain't messing around with virtual lineups. They're scooping up entire clubs like they're on sale at the dollar store. Let's talk about the biggest flex in sports history. In 2021, a group backed by Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund dropped a cool $409 million to buy Newcastle United. Yeah, you heard that right. They bought a whole Premier League team for more cash than most of us will see in 100 lifetimes. But buying the team was just the start. These royal owners are pouring crazy money into Newcastle. We're talking about hundreds of millions on new players, state-of-the-art training facilities, and marketing campaigns that'd make Don Draper jealous. They're not just trying to win games, they're trying to build a global brand. And Newcastle ain't the only toy in their sports collection. Saudi royals have their fingers in all kinds of athletic pies. They've got massive horse racing stables worth millions, because apparently regular horses are too boring. One Saudi prince reportedly spent $35 million on a single racehorse. That's more than most people spend on their house, car, and kids' college funds combined. But wait, there's more. The Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund now owns a big chunk of Formula One racing. They paid $500 million for a slice of the fastest sport on four wheels. Because when you're a Saudi royal, why settle for watching the race when you can own part of the whole dang series? Here's the crazy part. The money these guys are dropping on sports could fund entire leagues in smaller countries. We're talking about youth programs, stadiums, player development, all of it for years and years, just from what Saudi royals spend on their sports hobby. But owning teams and leagues ain't enough for these guys. Nah, they need something bigger, something crazier, something that'll make the rest of the sports world look like a backyard pickup game. Because when you're a Saudi royal, why stop at buying teams when you can build entire cities dedicated to sports?